I am loath to use Polygon or Kotaku as any type of evidence of one thing or another. I don't. They used to be really good gaming websites if you wanted reviews or information. Now they're just regressive, politically driven. They're Gawker, essentially. I think one of them was owned by Gawker before Hulk Hogan handled that problem. But what matters is that they're no longer part of the geekdom. They're just... it's a joke. They are not what I just said. It's very much they are a joke. And so what we're going to be talking about is PUBG. Now, as you know, PUBG has left early access. Didn't have a beta, much like Ark. Was not optimized, much like Ark. Was touted as an up-and-comer that could rival AAAs, much like Ark. And proved to be subpar upon launch, much like Ark. I think you get the point. Anyways, PUBG creator on the rise of China and the future of Battlegrounds warns players that xenophobia has no place in his community. First off, the community is decided by the players, not the developers. They can moderate it, absolutely. But when the players decide that they're done with it, guess what? You don't have a community. Just ask Tryon and Rift. Just saying. But let's dig into this a little bit. This came out 22 December, so 2 days ago. As of November 2017, Steam, the world's largest online marketplace for PC games, is no longer a primarily English-speaking platform. More than half of its users read and write Chinese. The sudden transition is, in no small part, due to a single game, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. My first problem here, for a progressive site, read and write Chinese, do they mean Mandarin or Cantonese? These are questions that need to be answered. You need to unfuck yourself here. I didn't understand the scale of China when I first started this, said Brendan PlayerUnknown Green, the game's creator. We spoke with him on December 21st, the day Battlegrounds left early access. You hear things like Tencent's WeChat has 1 billion users. 1 billion people use this single app in China. What the fuck? The literal scale of the player base in China is crazy. It kind of blew me away. Yeah, imagine that. The country that has arguably the largest population has hundreds of millions of people. They claim 1 billion, but I think it's more of hundreds of millions on a chat that's only available in China. Huh. Who da dunk? Most troubling, however, has been the reaction of some of the game's fans in the West. Amidst the rapid growth in the Chinese player base, racial slurs have begun flying on social media. Some have even called for Chinese players to be booted onto their own dedicated servers. Green strongly condemns this. It's quite disgraceful to see, Green said. The Chinese player base is very passionate for Battlegrounds and they love our game. They're the reason we have such a high number of concurrent users. Yes, there's some cheaters that come out of there, but the majority of our Chinese players just love our game and love playing it. This kind of xenophobic attitude that a lot of Western players seem to have online is just disgraceful. It's current year. We live on one big planet together. What the fuck? I'm quite ashamed of those players that shout these things out. We want to create a great space for everyone to enjoy across the globe, and locking one region out, I don't know what the fuck they're thinking. I could pretty much stop there because the title was clickbait, and that's pretty much where it cuts off on the title, and that's really all I care about. It's a shoddy piece of crap and never had a beta, blah, blah, blah. We all know this. But here's the thing. A lot of, he's like, where is it? I'm sorry. This kind of xenophobic attitude that a lot of Western players seem to have online is just disgraceful. It's not just Western players. Not sure if you know this, but a lot of the Asian countries make fun of each other as well. The Chinese hate the Japanese, who hate the Koreans, who hate Filipinos, who hate the Vietnamese, etc. And it's always been like that. Now, when it comes to China and Japan, we know why. Japan having invaded and brutally suppressed a lot of the other Asian nations over a 50-year span last century. China just being a bunch of assholes, you know, not really caring about their neighbors and whatnot. But it's been that way, you know, since Christ was a mess cook. If you go to South America, a lot of those countries hate each other. In fact, if you play Dota 2, the one thing that it seems all the Hispanic countries agree on is fuck Peru. You go to Europe, you get the exact same thing. It's not Western democracies or Western players being xenophobic to Asian players. It's the fact that the Asian players really don't help themselves, you know? And I want to make this clear. This is not an attack on them. This is a problem with the game companies themselves. The game companies refuse to set up servers in some of these countries to handle the large player bases that they cultivate. China's not going to have a dedicated PUBG server, or server farm rather. Dota 2, I'm fairly certain Valve has shut down the South American server. I don't even know anymore. There's no region lock. It's not coming anytime soon either. The only way you can do that is to speak with your pocketbook, or your wallet rather, if you're a guy, because 99% of us are guys. But there are huge issues. The language barrier, the latency. Chinese players routinely have about 300 ms latency. It's not because of their internet. Their internet is actually probably one of the best in the world. They have a high quality fiber optic network for internet. The problem is the choke points at the end nodes, the exit nodes. You have so many people trying to use those exit nodes that it throttles everybody's connection. And this is why VPNs are becoming such a big thing. And the reason that the exit nodes are throttled is for censorship purposes by the communist Chinese. This is why VPNs are so big. VPNs allow you to bypass this. I'm not even going to try and explain how, because I don't use them and I don't understand it. But there you go. And that actually kind of brings us to something else. In October, over the last couple of days, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds was hit with a large number of negative reviews, mostly from Chinese players. Let me say that again for the hearing impaired and mentally retarded. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds was hit by a large number of negative reviews, mostly from Chinese players. These Battleground players are all protesting one thing: the appearance of an in-game ad for Chinese VPN service. According to the reviews, the ad of this accelerator VPN appears on the game's lobby screen. This is interesting for a couple of reasons. First, Chinese players have often complained about high server lag, even when they're connected to the Beijing data center or other Asian servers. Because of this, many Chinese players simply pick servers in places other than China to try and have a better experience, such as North America and Europe. What this does is cause more problems for players native to these places, compounding the problems further. Combat in Battlegrounds offers favored players with higher ping, making cases where you run into one of them a nightmare. You'll even find reviews from the other side of the pond about this very issue. Once again, it's not xenophobia because they're hacking or whatnot, even though Chinese do hack. The problem is the quality of the gameplay, the quality of the games people are playing. Gamers want good games. I would rather, when playing Dota 2, play a 1.5 hour long game where it's tight, seat of my pants, and I'm enjoying everything about it. Not play 4 or 5 games because someone disconnects, generally speaking, from Peru, who decides he's going to disconnect to, quote, reset his router, unquote. His entire team pauses for 4 minutes there, the 5 minutes before he disconnects and he gets an abandon. It's just absolutely atrocious. And the region lock would help with this. Companies have to be willing to pay to do so. That's really what it comes down to. Okay, Green needs to get his head out of his ass to think that you guys are being assholes to people that you're, killing in this battle royale game. Stop being assholes to an entire group of people. Well, maybe if you put the infrastructure in play so that we wouldn't have to deal with this, people might not, they may not be throwing a shit fit. Okay, once again, these reviews came from Chinese players who are tired of it. But he wants to come around and say the Western players are the problem. They're being xenophobic. No, they're telling it like it is. They're tired of something. And you decide with your pay-to-play game, you don't want to do it. How is that fair to anybody involved in this? It's not. It never will be. And screw you for thinking that you can tell people the problem is them, not you. When both sides of the debate are saying the exact same thing, that it's you, maybe a little introspection might be a good idea.